Hello, everyone. You are listening to the award-winning To Hull and Back podcast, Sproutly Sponsored. I almost said that last week, and I think I stopped myself. It's these new headphones. They're too noise cancelled. I can barely hear what I'm actually saying. But we're proudly sponsored by the good old folks at Old Zoological Bar and Kingfisher Quality Fish and Chips in Hull. And I'm your host, expertly, as always, Nathaniel, joined by Joe and Christian. How are you two tonight?
Good, Nathaniel, thank you.
Yeah, doing all right. Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not, overly ecstatic about the performances and the results as of late. Very mixed bag, I feel. We were saying it before the podcast started. I think a draw with Burnley, that's pretty creditable. They're a good team, and then a draw away at Derby, any away point in the Championship is not to be sniffed at, especially for us who aren't like a top team. I think Derby have had a very good home record, but also going ahead both times feels like we've dropped 2, if not 4 points this week. So, Christian, you're the one who mentioned that.
We have.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've lost 4 points, haven't we? Really? I mean, don't get me wrong. To come away from Burnley with a draw is a good result. So let's not dispute that. But
we'd have taken it going into the game, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we took it going into the game 110%, and that's the only thing about us really, that we were looking better, we were on top. We got the lead, and to give it away. But again, Burnley take the draw, fine. But then you look at Saturday against Derby, who, let's be honest, we not only looked better throughout the game, but the amount of mistakes that they were also making throughout the game was just it. To lose that goal, to end up in a draw, is definitely 2 points lost, without a doubt. And I guess it's frustrating from, as the fans' side of things, to lose that 3 points, because that is huge with how tight it is at the moment. We're now closer to the relegation zone than we are the playoff zone. And we wouldn't have been with those extra 2 points. We would have been in front of Derby, which now it just makes them in a better light. When, after what we watched, I think you guys can agree with this, after what we watched, we were by far the better team. I mean, I don't know about you guys personally, because we haven't spoke about it much, but we were the better team. And to give it away in the manner we did, it was gutting. It was gutting.
Yeah, Kamara had a lot of chances, and I thought we controlled the ball better. I think overall, hopefully, at the end of the season, we're above Derby, but we look like we've got a bit more, than them at the moment. And it was probably 2 poor goals to concede. The Burnley one a little better, because it's good play from, was it Jayden Anthony on the wing, who of course should have scored the winner at the winner at the very end. But we haven't been torn apart like we were at Norwich. I think they've clearly done a bit of defensive work on their training ground. Just how impressed with you were you, Joe, with the defensive performance against Burnley especially?
Yeah, Harry's comment earlier on summed it up. Defensively looking better, performances look better, but still not bringing the points home. It's against Derby, we'll start there first because it's more recent. That was the only mistake. That's the only mistake Panda's made all season, really, isn't it? He came for the free kick when he didn't have to, got caught in no man's land, and that's how we conceded. Other than that, Derby didn't really threaten. And then, against Burnley, it was just Louis Coyle lost his footing for their goal, really. And that allowed Anthony an easier route past him. And then Zian Fleming put it away. That was the only big chance they'd had since, the 15th minute. And then, they could have also won it at the end had Jayden Anthony remembered how to play football. But that's a little slice of luck that you've got to take when it comes your way. So, you can see defensively they're getting better. I do wonder what impact Regan Slater being in the midfield has had at that, especially against Burnley when he played longer, because he's sort of more defensive minded, and like against Sunderland, that midfield was really quite attacking, looking, primarily at Puerta and Malem ahead of the holder, which I think was Simons in that game, and he's kept his place. But then with Slater in there, it's sort of a little bit more defensively solid. Someone to do a lot of running, which Puerta also does. And then in the second half at Derby, we sub 2 number 10s on at the break. It's a nice attacking change. Abdush centrally was good. I so much prefer Abdush centrally. He had way more of the ball and was able to
agree.
aim ball.
It's what he is, really, isn't it?
But he also didn't really do a lot, even though he saw an awful lot more of the ball than we've been used to him seeing this season. Not sure what's got into him this year, whether it's the sort of change in manager, the loss of Ozan Tufan. Him and Ozan were really, really close.
I think it's them, isn't it? Because they used to play, I suppose Irma was more on the wing, but him and Carvalho and Tufan, they played off each other so well. And he just doesn't have the same quality of players to play alongside with. And maybe
it's his first game back from an injury, though, so I will cut him a bit of slack with it being his first game back from an injury, but he has got to pick it up, because at the minute he's looking like, because he's still not got a goal for us. He's what is it, 1 assist?
He's got one, I think, this season. He got a few last year.
Yeah, he got a few assists last year, didn't he? But to be honest, it wouldn't shock me if Abdush went in January, to be honest, because I'm not sure he is enjoying his football here the way he was between January and May.
Yeah, absolutely. Christian, I think you were going to interject about Irma there, were you?
One just it wasn't the fact of just Irma, and when you said earlier on about like the quality of players around him, I don't think it is, other than 1 or 2 that are still, the papers are still out on. But everybody else around him, I actually feel that he did have quality support around him. I think the biggest problem, I mentioned this just before we started the stream, guys. I think it's Tim's tactics is really beginning to hinder individual players and the players that we've purchased. And I think I brought this up on the Humber Wave radio show the other day with respect to the quality of players that we've actually got. I personally feel like we've actually got some really, really high quality players individually. And it's not that the fact of that they don't know each other. Well, obviously they don't know each other very well still, and still, brand new team. We've had this discussion. I don't want to go down that road again. I just want to kind of mention along the lines of when we start talking about like teams and things like that and teamwork as a player, that you can't. If everyone's been given an individual role by Tim, how can you expect the team to play as a team? Because that's what it's beginning to look like at the moment, where every player that's playing has their own set job, but there's no jobs together. And then the paper part of it is on Sunday morning, I read it about saying that he wants to create cliques within the camp. I don't know if you guys read that one, where he wants to create little parties and little groups within training.
That's the opposite of what you want, surely. Like the whole thing about Southgate is we've got rid of all the cliques and it makes the whole team. So why do you want to create cliques?
This is it. Why do you want to create those little cliques between each other so that group stays with that group? Surely you want the full team on the same wavelength.
Especially if his...
I'm all over the place with this. I'm sorry, guys. It's just so much to take in from these last 2 games. And the stuff that I've read, I mean, it's wound me up a bit. I did say this as well before we started. I'm a little bit on edge because I'm usually the very calm, defensive lads. Come on, we'll pull through it. But after reading what I read after the game on Saturday, it's wound me up. And it's not often a manager winds me up. So, yeah. I mean, we're still out there. It's still early days, I guess. But I think someone's time's going to be cutting it short if the results don't change from the draws, which is better than losses, I agree, but now you're dropping points. So don't look as good.
I suppose to go back to Millar, is that why he left? Are we starting to see why he left Trabzonspor? Why they didn't want him anymore? Because his star has fallen quite a lot after being linked to sort of £20 million moves to the Premier League, and now he's on the bench for us. I agree with you, Joe. The way it's going, we might need to free up a bit of money to get another left winger as well, and we'll touch on that in a moment.
It's a chance
I wouldn't be surprised if he did go.
It's a chance to bring Cynic up, not jokingly, genuinely this time.
I still think that would be a joke to bring Cynic up in
I've just got to admit, he's going to play 60 seconds, take one tackle, and he's going to be out for the season again.
What, you think he'll make it a minute? A full minute?
Oh, yeah, you've got to count the time from when he gets off the sideline on his sub and goes across to the wing.
20 seconds.
20-second play. Yeah.
The ref's going to blow the whistle and let him come on to the other side of the pitch.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Can we be serious for a second?
So the news is that Liam Millar is out for the rest of the season with an ACL injury, which is not the best news.
Can I just say quickly on the Ryan Kent stuff? Fenerbahce released him, wanting to get rid of whatever. Is Ryan Kent the answer? No, there's a reason we didn't go for him. And Adjan has questioned multiple times publicly his attitude and his hunger, desire to play football, i.e., having Championship and Premier League offers on the table when he could leave Rangers and instead going to Turkey at the age of 25, just as an example. So I don't think we'll get a winger in until January. And to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if we don't go for a winger at all if Cynic stays fit on the off chance.
Well, that won't happen.
Longman coming back into the fold. Kamara, Bellumi, if they're both fit, plus Jarvis as well. That's 5 there. Plus
you've got Palmer as well as cover as well, because Palmer did the left. He did left, yeah.
So it wouldn't shock me if we don't go in for a winger, but if we do, I don't see it being a permanent one. The way I see it happening is the load of Finn Burns from Man City getting cancelled to free up a loan spot.
It'll be Rushworth as well,
potentially. Or Rushworth, true. Or Rushworth. For a winger to come in on loan for the rest of the season. And even though they can't be registered, that will be fine because 1, we've got rid of either Burns or Rushworth, and 2, we can unregister Millar.
Yes.
Who could then just sit unregistered for the rest of the year because, he's not going to play, is he? And if we get rid of, both Rushworth and Burns go and we unregister Millar, that frees up 3 spots that we could use to sign, for example, a striker.
Yeah, we will be signing a striker in January.
We need to sign a striker. I think Burstow will get a loan. I think he'll go out on loan. I think Tyrell Tellers-Fleming will go out on loan, and that will leave us Badia, Pedro, and someone else who we desperately need because we created some, decent openings against Derby. But in both the Derby and Burnley games, João Pedro and Chris Badia were just passengers. I think João Pedro had 5 touches in the whole game against Burnley, and then against Derby, as soon as Badia came off and he and Pedro came on, we lost some of our pressing ability and defending from the front capability because Pedro is just too slow and I've genuinely seen cargo ships move with more agility than João Pedro.
And a smaller turning circle.
Yeah,
I think it's safe to say he's lost a few yards over the last few years, and his first match, so he's going to be a bit rusty. But
he's still
he
going to
touched
be
the ball 3 or 4 times, didn't he? He was not really involved.
Yeah, And, well, to be honest, I was a bit shocked that Bairstow came on the right-hand side because...
I thought we go 4-4-2.
Came on the other day as well. He came on the side, didn't he? He went on that sub. He went on the right-hand side, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Because I thought from the away end, I couldn't see too well, but I thought I saw Will Jarvis warming up. And I thought that would have been a more change because I thought, right, if Jarvis is warming up, he'll bring Balumi off, finally put Kamara on his favoured right side, and then Javo can go on his favoured left. So I think the problem is we're creating good enough opportunities, but we're just not taking them. You know,
yeah, chances of that. Definitely the chance that you can tell by how many chances were played into the box on against Derby.
Kamara had a lot as well. Kamara had a lot.
Kamara in the first half, when he blazed that one over from like 4 yards out. What are you trying to do, mate?
Oh,
genuinely. That's
he
the
desperately
opening. That's like the first good opening he had in a Hull City shirt, and he did that with it.
He desperately needs to play on the right. I think Balumi is playing well on the right, but surely with how, sort of out of place Kamara looks on the left, you try Balumi on the left and say, you've been playing well this season. I trust you, but I can see your mate Kamara there on the other wing's not doing so well. Do you mind just swapping for a game and see what happens for a half? Kamara will be playing against Portsmouth, so hopefully that's his first goal, of course, against his former team. That might be a thing, but yeah. And I thought he had a shocking dive in the second half as well, where he's not dragged. The defender puts his arm out, throws himself to the ground. It's not the sort of thing I want to be seeing. And with Millar gone, that's a big loss, Millar, because I think he's been very good. He's his man all the time. And I just think, where we could have got into the playoffs if we had Philogene on one wing and an actual wing on the other with Millar, because he was great. But yeah, that's a shame. It'd be nice to go a season without a awful long-term injury for one of our key players. That'd be lovely.
It would be great, wouldn't it? But
Nice.
A point I've made a couple of times when talking about Miller's ACL is people saying when you see him go down a second time, that means it's never a good sign. And the last ACL we had was Vaughan Coville 2 years ago. And he did exactly the same thing as Liam Millar. Early in a game, goes down once, gets a bit of treatment, tries it out, he's all right for a minute or so, and then goes down again. And that's the last 2 ACLs we've had. And I think Millar, there's a player in there, definitely. But I think to an extent, he's too predictable to be a consistent threat. Although Philogene, you knew he always wanted to go on his right foot. He had this sort of air, and I hate this word, the way this sort of modern, recently generations used aura.
Yeah,
absolutely shit. But he had something about him which got bums off seats and frightened defenders, and Millar doesn't have it in the same way, although they both want to put it on their right foot from the left flank. My mate Josh calls Liam Millar a glorified Ryan Longman, just because when he's on the left, there's only one thing he wants to do, and that's get it on his right foot.
But he's direct and he knows what he wants to do. And so, like Lakilo, for example, just seems scared every time he got the ball. And if you've got a winger that's got confidence to try things, even if it doesn't come off, he's going to make something happen. But we'll have to make do without him this season. And
another way we could free up some squad space is if we make...
Sell 10 players?
Well, I know Ant says keep Burns, sell McLaughlin, would rather earn money than return a loanee, but that then puts us... I see the argument, but it puts us in a position where we need to sign another centre-back in a year.
It depends on what the options are. Man City might be delighted for Burns to not play a single minute this season and say, no, you're staying there or not.
What I was going to say, though, is if there's the opportunity to, do we make the loans of Zambrano and Puerta permanent early? because with them both being under 21, they don't have to be registered in the 25. So that frees up 2 spaces immediately. If there's the option to do that, they're both good enough. I think we should.
Yeah.
Depends
on
yeah.
whether there's an option or not.
I think Puerta does have that option, actually.
Both of them are options to buy, but I think the way that media worded the Puerta loan, it's
obligation.
Obligations if specific requirements are hit. And I think Zambrano's the same. But my guess with that is the requirement is if he doesn't get banned this season, we are signing him. So,
but I think in that scenario, you'd be stupid to make his deal permanent before you know. You're not
I think the club will do it regardless, to be honest with you.
To be fair, I think his performances have been good enough. Interesting that, of course, he's not actually playing at the moment, but Puerta, I like him. I like him quite a lot. Of course, he was part of the Leverkusen team, so you'd imagine him to be quite good. One positive we can talk about is, of course, the performances of Xavier Simons, who scored 2 goals in 2. Interesting that, our CDM, who we thought probably one of the least likely players to score, has been scoring the goals. A deflected effort against Burnley and then quite a lovely one against Derby, and a reverse Adebayor sprinting back the whole way to celebrate with the away fans. I think he's a big lad. I think he might have actually been signed with the idea of playing centre-back as well. I think with Puerta and Slater, especially these shorter players further up the pitch, I think having the physicality of Simons might actually work quite well, because I don't think Zambrano's got that same physicality. So how impressive has he been in the last 2 games?
For him and for all the fans watching, the fans didn't expect it at all. And they didn't. No, I mean, look, some would have said, look, he had the ability, but it wasn't there. But the last 2 games, as he just put his foot down and gone, I'm here. This is what you've been missing out on. This is what you haven't been seeing past here. And I think from his personal point of view, he must be buzzing with his performance. He's got to be. You cannot be upset with your performance at all. I mean, you can be upset with the results and things that have happened, but your own personal effort and your own performance, you can't be upset. And the fans are seeing that. I mean, look, you got 2 goals, fine. But he hasn't really done much in the way of putting a foot wrong in the last 2 games. He had those little sniffs of where we got the countered when he lost the ball on the outside of the box. We all know that. But the mentality to keep going and coming back from that is just something that you don't often see in a lot of footballers in Hull City, but in the league. If some of that's been happening like that, you don't see that kind of head down, crack on, keep at it attitude. And look, I guess Joe probably can vouch for this, because I've always not really ever put Simmons in any of our lineup picks ever. I don't think I've ever put him in once. If you ask me again today, all right, what's it going to be like for next week? Yeah, he's in the team, because you can't not put him in the team.
This is the time, though. Walter will drop him and bring Zambrano back in.
Oh, it's going to happen, but you can't. Yeah, I mean, Zambrano
it's harsh if he does.
It's hard. Yeah, you can't.
Door, but
that would be like taking, bringing on, like, if he was fit. Like, actually, no, I'm saying now, because forget about being fit, bringing on Rashopi instead, all because of that little goal that he conceded over the top of his head. Just, I mean, like, it's like doing that sub. You wouldn't change the keeper because of it. You can't. So if you did that now, that would be a very, very harsh. And I think a lot of people would question. I think the fans would go nuts. I'll be honest. I
think, he's way more likely to play Owen Foster if he wants a wild card goalkeeper change than he is Anthony. But, no, Xavi. I mean, I think Xavi himself was surprised by the fact he scored 2 in as many games. In his interview with the club, he said, to think I'd score 2 in 2, let alone 1, has been a great feeling. I just want to build on it and continue throughout the season.
Well, the way he celebrated, it looks like he was surprised and he's enjoyed his goals.
Yeah. At the first touch, saw there was an opening and just kept it low. It hit the back of the net, bottom corner. I turned around. I think the first person I saw was Louis. He just told me to get myself down there to the fans. It's a great feeling to celebrate in front of our fans. I just want it to continue. He's got his little signature move with Cody Drama as well, which I really like. It's like a duo celebration. That's something we've not had for a long time.
Yeah. Well, I like that because it's camaraderie and also it's optimistic that, well, we believe we are going to score, so let's prepare for it. Yeah, that's nice. I mean, I think he was probably forgotten about a little bit because he came in. It was very difficult to get in above Seri. And then he actually went to Fleetwood, and I'm not sure he did that well there. I think they would change manager pretty much as soon as he signed for them. But probably a player that's benefited from the slowness to sign players in the summer because he played it in pre-season. Interesting that he is playing over Zambrano now after Zambrano had done pretty well. And I'm sure some people will say, oh, it's because Zambrano is going to get banned, so they're playing Simons now. But he's earned his place, and I think maybe last week we were talking about not being sure of the starting 11. I think maybe Puerta and Zambrano Simons maybe are two pretty solid picks for two of the three midfielders. I think it's just that third midfielder. We're still not too sure who that's going to be, and now who the left wing is going to be as well.
Well, for once, it's not going to be Malem.
No, I don't. Well, mind you, maybe he would have got us to win against Derby and Burnley, but I'm not really sure we've missed him. He is my scapegoat, personally.
I think he's definitely not. He's not a scapegoat. I don't think.
No, but he's mine. I'm not really saying he's the reason why we've lost all these games or whatever, but I am happy to admit that I'm going to be overly critical of him particularly, which is unfair, but that is what I'm doing.
I think he just sort of coasts through games a little bit and doesn't really do a lot.
He's Foden in the Euros.
Yeah, when there's players like Puerta, Slater, Palmer, who get on the ball more. Yeah, and make things busy.
Malem is like you say. Players are busy. And that's a positive thing, but Malem's the opposite. Quite right.
Well, do you know what? You're talking about midfield. I'm going to go back to like Casey Palmer. He scored those 2 goals, and then I mean, what's he done? Well, I can't say what's he done personally, but what's he done really to not even warrant the starts? You know, this is we're talking about another central midfielder. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me if you've got someone who's scoring the goals and we're struggling. I mean, I know I can't. It's really hard to say his joint top goal scorer because now you've got Simmons 2 and 2. Yeah, so I just don't understand why he was brought out. I mean, unless you lads know something different, because he didn't take a knock.
No.
Why all of a sudden is he put on the back burner? It's really confused me. Why he's now not an option?
I just imagine that Palmer is a good player, but the reason why he's been at so many championship clubs is because he's not that good. But I still think that we could have given him a chance at number 10 with Malem dropped out. I think Palmer, with Amir hadn't been injured at the time, Palmer getting in there would have made sense.
That's it. What Andrew's just put down now saying how he links up with the guys up top. He does a lot of running on the. He follows the wingers. He follows the strikers. He does link up. He's a kind of a pass and move type of player. But is it because he's that type of player why he's missing out? Because obviously Tim doesn't want to touch the midfield. Is that the reason? And that's the thing. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going back onto this Tim thing because after his little comments, it's just, Grand Maggie is that guy now. It's got to that stage where I'm beginning to look at the team and think, right, we've got the individuals, we've got the quality. When we come to next week, I know we've lost Millar now. the massive loss. We've got now central midfielders. The defensive central midfielders are scoring. Like, what's the rest of this?
Isn't.
Yeah, but your striker isn't. And I have to admit, but he did it against Burnley, and he did the same thing against Derby, where the ball came down to the bar line. There was a cross coming in. He was still running in, and the ball was still behind him. And it wasn't the pass that was bad. It was his pace of his run. And I think the first time against Burnley, it was just bad control as well. And I could see Tim getting angry at that when he missed that opportunity to finish off the goal. I think the camera panned directly to him, literally on his face as he missed that shot. And what was it? 2 minutes later, he got subbed off, which kind of says it all. And I do think the striking situation at the moment is our biggest problem. I don't think creating chances is anymore. I think it's the decision on the final pass, or it is the striker now, because we've got that midfield. We've got all the midfield covers. Yeah, we're talking about wingers, who's going to go where. I think 4 weeks ago, we were moaning about how many wingers we own. So we can't really complain about how many wingers we actually have as cover. And for the very first time, gentlemen, we have not said a bad word about the defence or who's played in defence. Now, why is that? Why is that? Use! Exactly. That has changed. The dynamic of the back line has changed. I think Dramé has done really good at the moment as well. I'm surprised Giles hasn't had a sniffing and come into there. So the main stretch we're going to start looking at now is, I guess, up top more than anything. And we're talking about us losing players or getting rid of certain players. And permanently signing, like say, Puerto and Zambrano, under 21's job, perfect. I think that would work down to a T. We obviously do need to get some players because we're at the registers cap. But anything we get, or any spaces or any loans, our first priority should be a striker right now. Because
it was on deadline day, and it'll become top priority as soon as January starts. Has to be.
And it's the problem. I mean, we can sit here and talk all night, gents, but scoring goals is from a manager that said we're going to score lots of goals is the hardest thing at the moment.
It's flipped, doesn't it? Because we had that period where we were shocking defensively, but we scored the goals against Cardiff, Stoke and QPR. But now we're better defensively, and the sort of goals have dried up, and we're having to rely on shots.
Like Ben's just put there about Bairstow. I agree with Bairstow. I think the guy's got a lot of pace, and he runs through the back line and the defence quite well. But then that'll go back to what Walter said in the paper. I don't like the ball being played in behind the defence and us running onto it, which I just found insane.
When you've got really dangerous with that, with Bellumi in the past,
I just don't get
Connolly.
it. I'm beginning to get to the stage of like I don't understand the manager anymore, and it's hard for me to admit that because I usually do agree on everything and the time. We're coming up to November, gents. You know, we're a quarter of the way through the season now.
Yeah, definitely.
We are a quarter of the way through the season. So how much longer do you hold on? Do you wait until you get halfway? And it's just some of the comments recently. And when I look at the players, I think our biggest issue would be either the tactics or the lacking of up top now. So I'll leave that in your ball court. But
okay. Thank you for that, Christian.
Sorry, I had to go on a rant. I told you I was going to go on one, didn't I, tonight? I warned you.
I was just more saying thank you for putting the ball back in our court. But whatever you say is good, mate. It's all content. It's all opinions. I mean, it's tough at the minute because players are still technically gelling, and we've not seen Alzate properly. We've not seen Kamara in his favoured position yet. We've not seen Pedro properly. Badia's not scored from open play yet. Puerta's only just getting in the team. Hughes is only just getting in the team. we haven't seen Kyle Rushworth, and we probably won't see Kyle Rushworth at least until the new year. So it's a tough one to judge, and I am sort of a bit hesitant to pass too much judgment at the moment. But I understand frustrations. But equally, I sort of understand the optimistic point of view as well, where we're actually not that far off the playoffs. Like in the live table yesterday, the goal Derby scored dropped us from 10th down to like 17th. So it's just one of those ones where the championship's really tight. It's still relatively early days in the season, which hasn't been helped by international breaks. The fact we've got a third one in 3 months come the end of not this week coming up, but the end of next week is a joke, quite frankly. And I think it's just going to have to be a case of get to Christmas and see how it goes, see how we are at Christmas, and then judge if we bring in a decent striker in January or not, and where we are in the table.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing we can really do, isn't it? Just judge the team and the manager on where we are. I mean, I think, a lot of pressure is on Volta at the moment, and it's still interesting to think about how much pressure is on him, because there's always external pressure because the fans want us to win games, but is he under pressure with the owner at the moment? That's the only real thing as to whether someone's going to get sacked. And I think we've spent a lot of money, and Adrian would, of course, want us to get top 10, top 6, but I still think that he's got to know that we've lost a lot of players, and I think he's probably still backing Volta a lot. And I still think that even if we weren't doing so well, were he to sack Volta, especially having got rid of Rosenior, much more loved than Volta, he'll look a bit silly.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. If he sacks Volta early when he's got rid of Rosenior, who was universally quite well liked, players, fans, media.
And well liked by the people who used to sit behind me in the West Upper Stand.
I had a lot of that against Burnley. I was texting Will at the time. Louis Coyle just had it sat. He had it on the right hand side. We were knocking it about for a bit, and I heard, 8:17 p.m. I text Will, shouts of "Get it forward" behind me just now, and then at 8:24 and a second, followed by a cheer from one bloke when Coyle sent it long. So, look, I mean, I think I can say this with confidence. I am fairly certain Adrian is content with the way things are going and happy with where the football is.
And he wouldn't have hired him. He wouldn't have hired him if he didn't think he was the right person to go to the Premier League. And at the moment, I don't think anyone would really be able to say that the squad we have is a promotion-worthy squad. Maybe it is, for 10 or not, maybe 9 players with Millar gone now, but the striker, Pedro and Bedia or Burstow, none of them are good enough to get you promoted to the Premier League. So I don't think Adrian would want to sack Volta, knowing full well that, 21st or 7th, it's still not the Premier League, and Adrian wants us to get to the Premier League with Volta. So yeah, I wouldn't say he'll sack him. That being said, if we were to lose to Portsmouth next week, who are bottom of the league,
haven't won a game all season, have they?
I think they've won one.
They
beat QPR, but they're still not very good. And he did sack him. I wouldn't. I'd be surprised, but I wouldn't exactly be like, why on earth have you done that? I think that's relatively valid, that if we are where we are on the table now, which is, are we 17th or 15th?
15th.
If we're in that area come January, if I was the owner, I would keep him on, because I think we will probably end the season better than we've started it. And I'm happy to, I keep saying it every few weeks when this question comes up, I think this year is not a promotion year. Maybe next year is, when we've got these young players as a permanent, or sign the loan players on a permanent deal. because of the amount of players we lost last year. But he is going to be under a lot of pressure. I don't know. I keep flip-flopping because I do see promise.
I'm firmly sat on the fence. I'm getting some right splinters in my backside here. It's really annoying.
I am too, to be honest, because Rosenior, I was pro Rosenior the entire time. I never once wavered, but even when we did our emergency podcast, we were all absolutely raging. I know some people came out of the woodwork saying, "Oh, actually, I didn't like the boring football," and fair enough if that was you, but it was still quite a surprise. However, with Volta, I still think he's been dealt a relatively difficult hand.
Oh yeah, I'm not denying that either. Yeah, he's definitely had he's not come into an easy situation in any stretch. I just feel sometimes he's not making it easier on himself, which is the tricky thing. And that's if you start looking into next week, I don't want to say this is going to happen because this is a whole city. Let's be honest, and we know what we're like when we play teams that we should demolish. But it's that what if it all goes wrong next weekend?
Especially if we concede from another corner. I am of the opinion that if we concede from another corner and it's
just a set piece in general. Any set piece
where we've put our players up the pitch. If we lose another game because of that, I will be, even if it's in the Champions League final and Volta's got us that far, and that's the next time it happens, I'm Volta out immediately because I was angry the first time, I was irate the second time, the third time, I don't know what's going to happen. I might even swear.
But this is the thing: the fans will go nuts. People will go nuts. So that's the thing where we're at now. And if it was one of those one-offs where you've had a consistent style of play and a consistent level of effort, and I mean, nice, mid-table-esque. I know it's very tight anyway, so we can't really argue the difference. Like you said, 2 points gets you 10th. You lose another point. If we didn't get this draw, we would have been 17th. So yeah, we understand how close that is. But if we were more of a consistent, didn't drop those 2 points, what position? I know I hate saying this question because I know it's not worth it really, but if we had those 4 points, isn't that playoff zone?
About that, well, had we held on the other day, had we held on against Derby, we would be 11th in the table and we'd be 2 points closer to playoffs. So we'd be 3 points outside. And then we hold on against Burnley. Yeah, we're a point outside the playoffs, sat about 7th in the table.
Be very
two games, which this is how close it is. That's what I'm trying to put across. But that would have been, I guess, a more of a level of consistency in a way than just the losing the goals. Losing those 4 points in total. So that's it. We could end up in bottom 3 with a loss. That is, that's the danger zone we're now facing because of those drops.
But you look how tight the league is. I wouldn't really say that. I mean, of course, losing to Portsmouth was very bad, but I wouldn't necessarily say that we would have been one of the 3 worst teams in the league with the way we played. And that being said, if we win, we're sort of more comfortable in mid-table, and we're sitting here thinking, oh, well, there's not anything to be massively concerned about. And if we draw, I don't know what we'll think about it.
It's a tough one, isn't it? And I'm conscious of time because I need to get off soon. So there's one more thing I'd like to say before we preview that Portsmouth game. When Tim was in the stands and on his touchline ban, there was someone sat next to him. I'll put the picture on for our audio listeners, for our video listeners now. Do you know who that is sat next to Tim Walter?
No.
Because if it's the person who I think it is,
some assistant coach, right?
Then there is a very, very interesting story here.
Okay.
So, I believe that guy is Honor Zayim. And he's coming to the first team this year. When I spoke to Hull City's team coach driver, I turned to him and sort of went, "Oh, who's that?" As he was sort of walking past us, and he said, "Oh, I don't know. Came in with Tim this year." But I did some digging, and it looks, I think, because it looks pretty much spitting image of the on the 25th of November 2022 club statement that Onur Zaim has been appointed as a coach in the under 15s and under 16s. Previously worked with Turkish national team youth sides from 15s up to 21s. Played as a centre back and midfielder during his career. Spent his entire playing career in Turkey with Galatasaray, Beylerbeyispor, Bakırköy, Jatalspor, Vefaspor, and Avcılabid. So yeah, so he. By the way, I've checked photos for this. He was not with the 18s at any point last year. Was not with the 21s at any point last year.
Where's this going, Joe?
And this season, by some unknown reason, he is just with the first team every day. Even though Tim brought 2 assistants in with him and Andy Dawson is there already. I find that really strange.
I mean, yeah, I guess he's been promoted a bit high, but or maybe Volta just wanted someone different to him in the stand that, he doesn't want down pitch side, just so he's not alone.
Yeah, well, Onur Zaim has been with them all season. He was in Turkey with them over the international break. He's been in the first team on match days all season. So I just think really
commented in saying that seems dodgy. I mean,
I don't think it's necessarily dodgy. I just sort of
employed by the club.
It's just an interesting thing for me because no one will know really who that is. But just because I'm some sort of idiot, I've put 2 and 2 together. And I just find it really strange how he's gone from 15s and 16s, where David Millar was, to being with the first team in the blink of an eye. And
Joe, I know you've said that you're conscious of time and you've gone off on this crazy tangent about some under 15s coach for 3 minutes.
I know. It's strange. However, I just wanted to bring that to people's attention.
This is why we're not in the Football Content Awards shortlist this year. Stuff like that.
Turkish friends, that's all it is.
Turkish friends,
that's all it is. It is. I don't know. All right, we're going to look into next week then.
I mean, it's a must-win, right?
Yes.
Every game's a must-win, but it's a must-win, isn't it? Yeah. Who would we want in? Because, of course, Millar's not going to be playing. And I would be tempted to just see what happens if you play Zambrano and Simons in there and have Zambrano a bit further forward, because we want to try every midfield combination possible, and we've not done that one yet. So might as well give it a go.
There's Frank Simons up top. He's the one scoring. You know
yeah.
I think it'll be almost identical lineup, if I'm being totally honest with you. I think it'll be a carbon copy. It will be. Obviously no Millar, but I think it'll still be Kamara on the wing. I don't see the defence changing at all. I would like to see it would start with someone different up top, but again, I don't see it. Well, it's just an option of 3, isn't it? Really, But
whack Bairstow in there. Why not?
Well, yeah. I would love it
more. He'll want it more, won't he?
It would, exactly. He said he brought all these players in for competition, and to keep them hungry. So any chance they're going to get, they would give 110%. Play Giles as a winger, maybe. I mean, Ant's right. I mean, it's a brilliant option. But does Tim want a winger to cross, or does he want someone cutting in all the time? It'd be nice. It would be nice for Giles to have a crack, actually. I think it would be really good for him to get on.
He's a good player.
Yeah, he's a great player. I think it's a case of let's hope we get 2 or 3 in front before half time. And we'll see everybody get some done. See, that's wishful thinking for you. You won't wishful thinking.
Drop Charlie Hughes to keep him on his toes. Bring Stan Ashby.
Yes, I like it. Yeah,
I would not. I would. I mean, I'm going to that match. If he started Stan Ashby above Hughes, I don't think I'm ripping up my digital ticket. I guess I'm deleting it from my gallery, from my files,
and deleting the email.
Yes, blocking the Hull City email account. No, I wouldn't really do that. Of course, it'd be nice to see Stan Ashby play, but it would be a questionable decision. I've got a combined lineup, but I struggled with this because I don't know who's playing where. But the only change I think I'd make is actually a positional one, and I just try Balumi on the left, put Kamara on the right. The lineup is basically the Hull City lineup you would expect. I mean, I've got Callum Lang on the right wing because he's got 4 goals this season for Portsmouth. That's more than any Hull player, twice as much as any Hull player. And then Sadie at number 10 because Merlim's injured and Millar's not playing well and he doesn't want to play Palmer. And I didn't really know who to put at number 10, so he's at Portsmouth. But that's the least I've cared about a combined lineup for a long time because with Volta's decisions, it could be 10 changes for all I know.
Yeah, we just don't know. Score predictions, though. Do you have any?
I don't know what I think. I really don't know.
This is the problem we've got these days. We don't know. We should be going, oh, yeah, well, yeah, bottom of the league, yeah, 3-0, 2-0.
We'll have more of the ball because Portsmouth's not a good team. I think we probably will play quite well. I'm happy to say that we'll play well. To say we'll win is another matter.
Exactly. I'm gonna go 3-0, and I don't know why. I'm just
it's got to.
It's got to. I've got to see these goals, and I think the lads know that, as in the players. I think losing 2 games from being ahead and not killing out the game, I think when coming into the weekend against the opposition, they've got to realise they've got to kill the game off and they've got to kill it off right. So I'm hoping they're going in with that mentality of killing the game off, scoring 3-0. That's me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joe?
And so Christian's taken the Will scoreline for this episode in Will's absence.
Yeah.
3-1, 2-1, 3-1. I don't see us keeping a clean sheet.
No.
But I can see us winning the game. It just depends how many we score and how many of our chances we take, I suppose. It's an awkward position to be in as a Hull City fan at the minute because no one knows what to think.
Yeah. Yeah, quite right. Andrew's got a very good comment there. Interesting. We're meant to be a very attacking team, but two of the combined lineup has Pompey attacking players. Shows a lot how we are playing. Yeah, quite right. Liam Smith says, "Evening, lads. Sorry, you're a bit late, Liam. We're going to be leaving in any time now." 1-0 Portsmouth. I don't know. Let's just say I don't think it's going to be 3-0. I want to say it's going to be 3-0 to City, but I know 1-1. Simons will score first, and we'll concede.
He'll concede again. Yeah. Rinse and repeat. Every week, we'll just rinse and repeat.
Tim Drawlter. It looks better type.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty good. It's Drawlter. Yeah. I will. Yeah. Let's go a joke prediction 1-1. Yeah. I mean, Joe.
That's the most realistic one.
Yeah. Ant says, talking to a Portsmouth fan, and they're not very confident. They might. That might be their manager Mousinho's last game. I mean, let's hope so. Let's get someone sacked. That'd be lovely with a lovely 3-0.
Someone sacked before they play us for once.
Yeah.
Yes. Liam Smith says, let's say 3-0. Yeah, okay. I'm going to go with Will. 3-0. 3-0 City.
There you go, Liam. See, welcome to the club.
Right. Well, Christian, Joe, thank you very much for joining me. And to everyone commenting in, we've had lots of interesting opinions today. Thank you very much as well. And we will be back next week. Although I've got to pad for time, actually, because... oh, no, I don't. We've got a lovely new feature that I think's working, where it plays the outro video as soon as I end the stream. But, Joe, we've got to put a thumbnail up, haven't we?
So if you click end the stream and then just put the thumbnail up as the overlay while the video is going on, I think it'll be all right. No.
Oh, like this. This is right, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it's right.
We'll find out. Cheers.
We'll find out. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.